make sure that your mental health is in check. Because I always say law school is more of a mental battle than even a physical battle. There's no point reading for an exam that you cannot even write because you're not in such a bad mental state. So please, as much as reading is important, take time and
Welcome to the first episode of Mastering Law School, brought to you by the Nigerian Student Podcast. Today, we are honored to have a special guest, Aminat Lawal, who broke records in law school, winning 12 awards and emerging as the overall best law student out of a class of 5,300 students from the Nigerian Law School. Join me in welcoming the legendary Aminat Lawal. Before we begin, I must say congratulations. Now, without further ado, we all know that emerging as the best from such a challenging school is not rice and beans. It's not akara and momo. It's not beans and bread. Well, I've heard that the Nigerian law school is the most challenging in Africa. From your experience, what are 5 habits students can cultivate in their lives to become excellent law students? Here's what I mean. If we want to achieve the same results that you did, what are 5 habits we should cultivate in our lives? Let the discussion begin. Also, welcome to the Nigerian Student Podcast.
Okay, thank you very much for having me, and thank you so much for all the kind words. I'm not really a tabularized person, but I'll try to make a list or thereabouts. I think that I mean you're right, law school is quite difficult, but I think that if I was going to say 5 habits to adopt, one is listen in class. It's very, very important to listen in class. Like I was telling someone yesterday when they were asking me about this law school experience. Nobody wants you to pass more than your law school lecturers. I mean, besides yourself and your family, I guess. But unlike the way it is in maybe some federal schools, your lecturers really, really want you to do well. So listen in class, listen to them. Secondly, is time management. Like I think that that's one thing about law school is it takes your time. You think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So I think you have to learn good time management. Third is just like follow instructions. Um, like reading and preparing for exams is one thing, but actually following the instructions, because law school has some particular instructions that maybe other like organizations or the school you're coming from does not have. So follow instructions. Fourth is like make sure that your mental health is in check. Because I always say law school is more of a mental battle than even a physical battle. There's no point reading for an exam that you cannot even write because you're not in such a bad mental state. So please, as much as reading is important, take time and make sure you have fun. I think that is one thing I keep saying. Like make sure you have fun. Have fun. Do things that are good for your mental health. Like I told someone, I said if for you it's not sleeping, if for you it's not going out, if it's sleeping, then sleep. Like make sure that you have fun. And then lastly is God. Like honestly, I don't know, even if you're whether you're a religious person or not, just pray. Or like yeah, just pray and pray that God crowns all your efforts with glory, because law school is whether or not you want to work hard, you're going to work hard. You have no option. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much for the quick 5 habits. Listen in class, time management, follow instructions, take care of your mental health, and make sure that you are following your maker, which is God. So I would love us to unpack each one so that students can deeply understand what we really mean by listening in class, time management, and all those stuff. We've been hearing about all these things, but still yet we don't get the results that you people they get. We don't get the results that you guys get. That's what I mean. So now, listening in class. So let's start with that one. How do we make
Okay,
sure?
so you need to expand.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, continue,
Sorry,
continue.
please go ahead.
All right.
No,
So
go ahead.
let's okay, listening in class. How do we make sure that we are effectively listening in class to become an excellent, law student? What are the do's and don'ts about listening in class so that we can get good notes and make sure that we are getting what we should be getting out of the lecture?
I think the first thing is active listening. So you have to actively listen in class. Like just like anything in life. If me and you as I'm having this conversation with you, Fred, if I'm not actively listening, I would know. If because I'll be asking you what did you say or my mind
Mm,
has wandered. So you have to actively listen. You can't just sit down there. So when I say listen in class, I used to sit on the fifth row, and I used to joke a lot that I don't remember taking my phone during classes in law school. It was very rare for you to see me texting while we're in class. Like, I
Mm,
just, because I just listen, I take notes. If I don't understand something, I note it down to ask whether my lecturers or my co-classmates. So I think as individuals, if we're not lying to ourselves, we know when we're actively listening to someone and when we're just passively listening. So you have to,
yeah.
like, law school, like I say, like always say, it's just 9 months. It's not a long time. Is if it's 9 months without your phone, like I didn't really have a lot of social media like in law school. I mean, I still went now and then, but it's 9 months of you not like being on your phone in class. Like, you're not going to die. It's not going to kill you. So just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Because I can remember life as a student, although I'm still a student, final year, still waiting for my school to call off the shutdown so that we can get back to school. Or sometimes
Oh, okay.
if you stay in the class and the lecture is getting boring, you just pull up your phone, social media straight, and that will be the end of the lecture for you, because you will not be
Mm-hmm.
getting information that is needed for your success. And this is something that we find as a norm, and that is why we sometimes don't do well, because there are things that the lecturer will not give you in your handout or in the notes, but he will explain it in the lecture. And if you didn't get that explanation, understanding his notes might be not that difficult, but it might take you longer time than if you had spent the time to listen and pay attention to the lecture. Thank you so much for that. Now let's go to the time management. Can you unpack how you effectively managed your time?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that was the first thing that law school taught me was really managing my time. Because I don't know if I have the time, but let me quickly go through like a typical day in my campus. Because
Okay.
I can only speak about Lagos campus. So you wake up whatever time, you have to be in class before 9 because we turn print to enter class. So you're in class from like 9 to 12. We go on a short break, you come back, and when we come back, you're in class till whenever. Honestly, there's no end time. So it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. And we learn a new topic every single day. So
Mm,
when you go to your hostel, by the time you buy food, because we're not allowed to cook, or if you're not staying in school, go home. I'm assuming the time is already like 4, 5, 5:30. Let's just say between 4 to 6, depending on when you leave class. So by the time you do all that and you get to your hostel, obviously we're not animals. You're going to want to have a chat with your roommate, have a chat with people on the corridor.
yeah.
So let's say by the time you finally settle down to read, it's almost 6,
Mm,
and you have tasks for the next day. So every day in law school, there's assignment. So you have an assignment for the next day. So you have to for me, I found it very useful. I had to read what I did that day and also read what
mm,
I was going to do the next day. So, but when I say time management, sometimes during break, at some point I barely started like going out during break. I just used to use my break time to like maybe read my rules. Law students who know this RPC. If you're in law
to
school
like
right
I
now,
used to
you know
say a
about your
lot. I went
RPC.
out a lot
I
in law
read my
school. Wow.
RPC.
I
I
went
just use
to
it
hang out
as
with my
my
friends a
time on
lot.
my phone. If I want to
So
go out
that
with
when
my
I get
friends,
back
I
to my
have to
hostel,
tell.
I
I know
know that
that I want to do. If
I'm
not,
not
I'm
really
not
going
going
to
anywhere.
press my phone a lot
So
because
I've already spent that time. So like
mm,
you have to schedule everything. If you want to, like I used to say a lot, I went out a lot in law school. I went to hang out with my friends a lot. If I want to go out with my friends, I have to have finished reading what I want to do. If not, I'm not going anywhere. So
yeah.
you have to basically like plan everything. So everything is possible. I don't know, that's always been my mantra. Even from uni, I had a good time in uni as well. I like social activities, so I'm quite a social person. So if you want to go out, you want to go and see a movie, you want to go to dinner, you just have to plan everything. Everything is timing. So is okay, I'm going to read what they taught us. And like why I was still telling someone this morning, in law school, don't like be reading one page for 4 hours. Just read it. Like sometimes I always say, really like story, because the more you read it, that's when you're going to know it. It's too much information for you to be like, I'm going to spend 4 hours reading one page, making sure it's in my head. So you just have to plan yourself. Like, so I can only give my own schedule, but everybody has different schedules. So for me, by 5, I'm already like, I take a quick nap. I always joke, I call it my power nap. Like 20 minutes, I take a nap, I wake up, I read what I've done, and sometimes when I'm downstairs, I buy what I'm going to eat for dinner as well. So I'm not standing up again to go and eat dinner, like to go and get
Mm,
dinner. So I will just read what we learnt that day. and maybe by like 10, I'll make sure that I read what we have for the next day so that in class you're not confused when they are speaking. And yeah, you
Mm.
just plan everything. You can wake up. My roommate used to wake up early in the morning to read. So you just have to plan your time. Like, this is not the time for you to, excuse me, this is not the time for you to be on your phone for 5 hours. There will still be times like that. So just do it. And then for time management, I can say externship is a really, really good time. Externship is this 3 months period that law school students get, where we go home and we go to court and we go to chambers. Externship is a
Mm.
good time to read because you have a lot of time to yourself. So yeah, make a timetable. Say anything you're doing in this world where you are not assigning times to things, especially I know for myself, that means that you don't want the thing to get done. Because if
Yeah,
me and you just said we're going to have this interview and we do not assign a time, we're never going to have this interview. Like,
definitely.
we just keep saying, don't worry, I'll speak to you, I'll speak to you, I'll speak to you. So like, even just casually, if you want to send a message to someone, you can just say before 11. Like, I do that thing to about to myself, and I'm like, before 11 you should have done this thing, because if you don't assign a time, it's never going to get done. So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much about for that. Because I was, I was not thinking just like this cliche advice that they say, if you don't plan, okay, how do they put it safe? If you don't plan, you plan to fail. That kind of thing. So the
Yeah.
summary of everything is
Yeah.
the power of scheduling. Make sure you schedule everything. I was,
Mhm.
reading a book, I'm doing a research about time management for students and for entrepreneurs and for great men. And that someone said a quote, and he said, if it's not on my schedule, I will never do it.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. So
Mhm.
it must be on my schedule for that day for me to do it. If it's not on my schedule, I won't do it. I will have to move it to the next day or fix a time for it. That is actually a habit for successful people. Thank you so much for that. So let's move to the next one, which is following instructions. Say, eh, you see, us students, we hardly follow instructions. So please, can you
Ah,
help us unpack that?
okay, so in law school, right? I keep saying in law school because I think that law school is a particular organization by itself. Like, I mean, I assume you're a law student. I'm not sure if you're not, but are you?
I'm not. I'm an engineering student.
Oh, I mean, I think engineering is similar. Like, we're both similar in that effect. There's a way
Okay.
that things should be done, and for law, like, it's 5 years. I think engineering is also 5 years. So you spend five
Yeah.
years in uni thinking of doing things a certain way. The worst
Mm,
thing anybody can do is to come to law school and refuse to discard not every single thing, but what they were bringing from their university. So, for example, in law school, the way you answer questions is very like, they are very particular about that. In fact, it's not even just knowing it is knowing how to lay the questions down. So when I say
mm,
follow instructions, which also ties in hands with listening, like, I've never met a group as law school lecturers that want you more, that want you to pass more. Like, your lecturers want you to pass. So they will tell you what to do. Like, they are not hiding. They are not saying, oh, we only want the smart ones, or we only want 5 people to get a first class. In fact, if everybody in the class should get a first class, they'll be ecstatic. So when they give you the instructions of how they want you to answer the questions, please just follow it. Don't think,
mm,
but in my own university, this is how they used to do it. Or in my own university, this is how someone, and the worst thing anyone can do is to like call someone that was there the past set, because things are always changing. Life is very dynamic. So if you're calling me and asking me that, how should I go about this? The first answer I always give everybody is ask your lecturers. Because what if what I tell you is not what is applicable anymore? So follow
mm,
instructions. Just follow the things they tell you to do. Like, if they tell you that they don't want you to write with, maybe funny, like they don't want you to write with blue biro, I'm just making a joke. Don't write with blue biro. It will not kill you. If they say they want it in yellow, just write it in yellow. Just follow just follow their instructions. So yeah.
mm. Thank you so much for that, because I can remember I entered a rabbit hole. Let me not call it a rabbit hole. I entered a one chance. I believe Nigerian students will understand this particular phrase, one chance. When I thought I knew it all because of a lecturer came one day and he was teaching us about something. So he saw me, I wasn't writing. When you're not writing in class, it's actually sending a signal that probably you know
Mhm.
what the man is talking about. That kind of thing.
Mhm.
So he misunderstood me, and he saw me and he approached me and asked me, hey, why are you not writing? So I told him, sir, I know this stuff, I have the notes. He felt embarrassed and he felt as if that what he was teaching wasn't, wasn't good for me, and he felt as if I knew everything. So I never knew that this man, you know, he smiled and said that the what he was teaching was different from the thing I think I knew, because I also told him I collected the notes from the senior colleague. So he felt as if he was wasting his time. It was not later on I now entered his trap, and he now held me and told me, "Remember that time that you disgraced me in class?" Gee, I was like, how that kind of thing. So the man actually
Yeah,
tackled me and dealt with me. So I learned my lessons to please follow instructions. If they tell you write in class,
yeah,
write. Even if it's a BM, just write. Just right. You get why. All right.
exactly,
Thank you so much. Now, for
exactly.
mental health, we are in a world where challenges everywhere, depression arising everywhere from social media, academics, deadlines. You must submit this project in this time. You must do this. You have 15 assignments to submit the next day. So, how did you successfully manage and handle your, mental health to come out with first class? In fact, double first class and the overall best, the number one out of 5,300 students. How did you do it?
Okay, well, for me, like this before law school, mental health has always been something that has been really important to me. At least my mental health, making sure that I'm all right and I'm in a good space. And like I said, law school is more of a mental battle than even a physical battle. So how I manage my mental health was surrounding myself with people that are will I say people that are like-minded. I made sure that I surrounded myself with people that wanted to excel as much as I wanted to. So in times where we're either feeling down, you get somebody, like either of us were feeling down, excuse me, you get somebody to like drag you up. I also relied heavily on my family and my friends to speak to them. I also take a lot of walks, so I took a lot of walks. And like I said, I had a social life in law school. So I go out with my friends, especially people. Sometimes you just want to go out with people that are not even in the system, like people that are not in law school with you, so that you spend maybe if it's an evening just forgetting about law school and just having other conversations and laughing. So I did a lot of that, and yeah. That was what I did, but just finding what works for you. I also read a lot of books. Sometimes there are days where I'll see people around me reading and just be watching a movie because I knew that I could not at that moment I could not just take my book to read. So yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Because sometimes we think what you just need is to be overly serious. Just be make sure you're on your book 247 or more. I've
Yeah.
gotten the opportunity, the rare privilege to discuss with overall best graduating students of many universities, and they still say find time for yourself. Find time. Just make out time for yourself. Do not neglect your friends, because we've been taught wrongly that if you want to be the best, you need to remove everything distraction, remove friends, just focus, and that kind of thing. It's sometimes creates pressure in us. And thank you so much for unpacking that. So now to the last one before we move to the next section. God, our Maker. So how did that contribute? Because I believe I'm a strong believer that he is the number one of everything. So how did that contribute to your success, to
I
becoming an
mean,
excellent student?
how did you not contribute? Like everybody works hard. You have, I think that you just use prayer to crown every single effort. And even like for mental health, there are some times where you do all these things, you hang out with friends, it does not work. Like all you have to do is pray. I remember
Yeah,
particularly after my corporate law exam, it was a really difficult exam for me. And I knew that I did not do to my capabilities. I was crying that day. I had such a difficult time. I just like turned to my side, turned away. I told my roommate I needed a minute. So I turned to my side and I just prayed and I slept. When I woke up I was like, this is out of my hands. So
yeah,
I think like just moments like that, you just have to rely on God. I mean, for me, that's why I keep saying, because I like to respect people's religious views. So that's why I said, if you believe in God, I think that prayer is a really good tool that you can have, not even just in law school, just for every aspect
in
of your
life.
life.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For me, God is actually the number one. I am a strong believer that He is our maker, and He knows our needs and everything. So for you to be
Mm-hmm.
successful in this world, He created everything. Yeah, I understand people's views as well, and I respect their own opinion about religiosity and everything. But for me, I feel he created everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want the best out of what he created, you need to respect him and follow him. Thank you so much for that. So now let's move to the next section. We have two sections left, but I will have to jump to the third one before we get to the second one, if you don't mind. So now you are a double first class graduate. Firstly, from Uni Ibadan, and secondly, from the Nigerian Law School, and also the overall best from the Nigerian Law School. So, from the experiences you got from these institutions, what are 7 things excellent law students should never do?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last thing. 7 things excellent law students. I didn't get
Should,
what.
what are 7 things excellent law students should never do?
Uh this session is going to be 2 minutes or less. I don't know. I do not have I'm going to have to think. I think one
Okay.
is this is going to be really short because I'm not really a believer in telling people what not to do because different things work for different people. I think one
Yeah.
of them is not listening. So basically everything I said that they should do, not doing five
Mm,
of them, not listening, not managing their time well. Um, but you know the thing about law school, right? Is that I know people that do not focus on these 5 tips I said and they are still excellent.
mm.
So
Wow.
honestly, I genuinely don't have an answer to this question. I think that the only thing I'm going to say is please do what works for you. And because someone else is doing something, if you know it's not going to work for you, it doesn't mean you should do it. So that's my
Yeah.
only answer.
Yeah. Thank you so much
I
for your
apologize.
time.
But yeah,
You don't need to apologize. We definitely understand because I have a friend. He doesn't follow this normal. You come back, you read your book. No, he needs to just be in class, pay attention, and he has gotten everything. That is what works
exactly.
for him. I know someone, he loves playing football, and he's also a first class in my department. I know someone that he
Exactly.
doesn't he doesn't play games. He's just books, 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 books. But still yet he's not among the best in my department. So the main thing is know what works for you. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, the key to success first is first discovery. Discover yourself. Discover what works for you, and stop trying to follow the crowd, the bandwagon. Trying to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they say the best advice, the best academic advice for to do well academically is to make sure you study your books, to make sure you read at the library. Come on, I know people that did well that never saw the library. They only met the library only during their clearance, final year clearance. So the
Mm-hmm.
main thing is know what works for you and follow that. Instead of just, hey, your friend is a night reader. So because you are seeing him doing well and he loves studying at night, okay, you now decided that, okay, let me be studied at night. It might work for you, it might work against you. Because I've seen people follow others to night class and they end up sleeping instead of them finding what works for them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So the main thing is
Thank you very
what
much for this
works.
interview.
Thank you so
I'm not
much.
sure
We
I can hear
definitely
you anymore. Keeps breaking.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much for bringing your precious time to educate us Nigerian students. It's really an honor hearing from you, Miss Aminata. So,
Aminat. But yes, that's fine.
Aminat, sorry, Aminat. I don't know why sometimes
No,
when I was preparing for this, I was like Aminata, Aminat, that kind of thing.
no, that's
Okay,
fine. Thank you very much for having me. I have to go now, but thank you
all
so
right,
much. It was a lovely experience.
all right. Please do have a wonderful day, and we expect to hear greater news from you. Thank you for joining us in today's episode. Hope you got inspired. Hope you got inspired. If you didn't get, please listen to this episode again. I got inspired. I'm not studying law, but I got inspired because come on. If she could do it, I can try. I can try. I can do better. Now, if you know you got inspired from this episode, which I believe you did, kindly share with us the few things you learned from this episode. And if you have any advice that she didn't mention, please do well to help your fellow law students in the comments by just leaving the comment in the comment section. Well, I'm Maxwell Friday, your boy. This is the Nigerian Student Podcast. Please don't forget, always motivate yourself today, and I will see you next week with a wonderful, well-prepared podcast. Make sure you do your assignments. See you next week.